I was mid-argument with my sister when my phone lit up. She just called me a failure. "You can't even keep a man," she spat, arms crossed, voice thick with smug venom. No wonder Mom left everything to me. I didn't respond. Not because I had no words, but because a single text blinked on my screen like a ticking bomb. "We're in Hawaii. Take care of the kids." From Ryan, my husband, the man I'd loved for 15 years. My hands trembled. The words looked like a prank, but my stomach sank as reality clawed its way up my throat. There was no typo, no context, no apology, just vanished. "Everything okay?" Andrea sneered, sipping her wine like she hadn't just knifed me with her tongue. I turned my phone to her. Her eyes darted over the screen. She froze. "Wait, he took the kids?" I shook my head slowly. "He said take care of them." She blinked. "So, he left you with them?" "No," I whispered. "He left us. Alone." And just like that, I became a single mother of two, with no warning, no plan, and no answers. I should have seen it coming. There were signs, small fractures in our perfect picture. Missed calls. Unexplained trips. Passwords changed. But when you love someone, you build explanations faster than doubt. And I built castles of excuses for Ryan. But castles crumble fast when truth punches through like a wrecking ball. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I texted. Nothing. I called his office.
His boss hesitated.
"Ryan hasn't been in for weeks."
Weeks.
The air left my lungs. I checked the joint savings.
0.
He drained it.
Clean.
And that's when the betrayal really began. Within hours, my phone was buzzing again, but not from Ryan. It was my mother. She'd never called me unless it was to brag about Andrea. "Ryan left," she said, almost gleeful. I didn't answer. She sighed dramatically. "Well, I always said you rushed into marriage. He was too good-looking for you." I wanted to scream, but I couldn't find the air. Instead, I hung up. But it didn't stop there. By that night, Andrea had posted on Facebook. "Some people can't even keep their husband home. Hawaii sounds nice, though." The comments flooded in. Snickering.
Gossip.
Even our aunt laughed in the thread. I felt stripped bare in front of the world, and my own family sharpened the knives. That night, I sat in the living room staring at my wedding photo. His smile. His arm around me. I looked so damn happy. It felt like a crime scene now. My 5-year-old son, Caleb, curled up beside me, asking, "When's Daddy coming home?" I blinked hard. "I don't know, baby." His lip trembled. "I'll protect you," I promised him, even if it killed me. The next morning, I woke up to more than betrayal. I woke up to eviction. A notice on the door. Unpaid mortgage. Ryan hadn't just left. He'd stopped paying months ago. I hadn't checked. I trusted him. He'd covered it. He said he had. The lies were layered like rot beneath wallpaper. Now, everything was peeling. I drove to my father's house. He opened the door with narrowed eyes. "You look like hell," he said. I told him everything. He listened in silence, then handed me an envelope. "Your mother left you something," he said, "before she died." I tore it open with shaking hands. Inside, nothing, just a note. "You were never strong enough. That's why I chose Andrea. Even from the grave, she betrayed me. So I did what broken women do. I cried. I fell apart. And then, I started piecing myself back together. Because there's one thing about being left in the ashes. You can either choke on the smoke, or rise from it. I called a lawyer. I needed to find Ryan. I needed answers. But more than that, I needed revenge. Not petty, impulsive revenge.
No.
I was going to burn this betrayal into a lesson. For Ryan. For Andrea. For everyone who thought I'd shatter and stay down. That same night, Caleb found a note tucked in his toy chest. It was folded like origami, written in Ryan's messy scrawl. "Don't trust your mom. She ruined everything." My blood turned to ice. He was manipulating our children now. That was my final crack. And it wasn't just pain anymore. It was war. By the end of the week, I'd filed abandonment charges, hired a forensic accountant, and found a private investigator. Ryan thought Hawaii was paradise, but I'd make sure it became hell. I didn't sleep, not after finding that note. Don't trust your mom. She ruined everything. Ryan's words burned like acid. He wasn't just gone. He was waging war on me, from a beach in Hawaii, hiding behind palm trees and half-truths. But the worst part? He was trying to turn my children against me. And somewhere in all this, my sister Andrea was far too quiet, which meant she knew something. I needed answers.
Fast.
So I started with the obvious, the money. My name was gone from every joint account. Even the college fund for our kids, emptied. But I wasn't stupid. Ryan thought he covered his tracks, but a forensic accountant doesn't play by surface rules. Within hours, she found something. An offshore account. Opened 5 months ago. Hawaii wasn't a spontaneous escape. It was a long game. He had been moving thousands bit by bit, out of reach. All while looking me in the eye, kissing me goodnight.
Tucking our kids in.
My phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. I know where your husband is, the voice said. Female.
Come. Clipped.
Who is this? He's not alone in Hawaii. A pause. He's with your sister. The room spun. I couldn't breathe. No, I whispered. That's not possible.
But it was.
Because a minute later, the voice sent a picture.
Ryan.
Shirtless. On a balcony. Andrea beside him in a red bikini.
Kissing his neck.
The woman I trusted with my childhood secrets had stolen my husband, plotted this with him, laughed behind my back while I begged her for help. I drove to Andrea's condo. The moment she opened the door, I saw it in her eyes. Guilt, masked in fake surprise. You look like hell again, she said.
Classic Andrea.
I held out the photo. Her smirk cracked. Then she recovered, fast.
Wow.
I guess you finally figured it out. My hands shook. You knew everything. The accounts. The trip. The lies. She stepped closer. You want the truth, Cass? He chose me. He always looked at me like he was starving. I slapped her.
Hard.
And for a second, just one, her mask crumbled. Then she laughed. You're so predictable.
And weak.
That's why Mom left you nothing. You crumble every time someone abandons you. She was wrong. This wasn't me crumbling. This was me awakening. Back home, I locked myself in the bedroom and opened my laptop. I needed power. Information. Leverage. I dug into Ryan's business emails. He'd been careless once, leaving me a password scribbled in a drawer. That's when I found it. The prenup. But not the one I signed. This one had a new date. New signature. Forged. Ryan had switched it. If this held up, I'd get nothing. But I knew a lawyer who'd eat forgery alive. And I had one more advantage. The real prenup. Hidden in my late grandmother's Bible. She made me stash it there, just in case. God bless her suspicious heart. The PI called me again. He had footage. Andrea and Ryan. Meeting with a real estate agent in Maui. They were trying to buy a house. Using my stolen money. Planning a new life. Without the baggage of wife.
Kids. History.
But the best part? The agent wore a body cam. That night I posted a photo. Not the one of them kissing.
No.
That would have been easy. Instead, I posted a photo of my kids playing in our empty living room. Captioned. When your husband takes your heart, your money, and your sister, but forgets one thing. I don't break. I reload. It went viral in hours. Comments exploded. Tell your story. Get him. She deserves justice.
And now?
I had an audience. Then came the call from Ryan. Blocked number. I picked up. You're ruining everything, he hissed. You already did that. I said calmly. He paused. I left you enough to survive. I didn't want to fight. You stole everything. You lied. You cheated. You used our kids. He chuckled. You were never built for war, Cass. No, I said. But you built me for it. I hung up. Then emailed everything, bank records, forged prenup, real prenup and body cam footage, to my lawyer. With one subject line. Game on. By morning, the legal traps were in motion. Ryan would be served in Hawaii. The court would freeze the accounts. Andrea would be named in a civil suit. And me? I wasn't the wounded wife anymore. I was the storm coming for them both. The courthouse was freezing. Not because of the air conditioning, but because of the tension. That thick, silent kind that settles on your skin like a storm cloud before lightning hits. I stood outside courtroom B, heels steady, jaw locked. My lawyer, Meredith Glass, a woman known for making grown men cry in court, leaned toward me. You sure you're ready for this? I didn't blink. They took everything but my fire. Let's go light them up. When Ryan walked in, hand in hand with Andrea, the entire courtroom turned. He wore a beige linen suit like he'd just strolled off a yacht. She wore white like innocence could be bought at Nordstrom. They smiled like a couple stepping into a brunch, not a battle. Then Ryan saw me. Not the woman he'd ghosted. Not the fool who cried over his text. But the woman with evidence. His jaw tightened. Andrea looked past me like I didn't exist. But her fingers twitched. She was nervous. Good. The judge's gavel cracked. Case number 31084. Myles versus Myles. The lawyer for Ryan stood, already smug. He claimed Ryan had every right to separate. That emotional incompatibility justified the money transfers. That I was unstable, neglectful, dangerous to the kids. Then Meredith stood. Your Honor, we have documented proof of fraud, emotional abuse, financial deception, and malicious manipulation involving minor children. She dropped the flash drive like a grenade. We watched the body cam footage first. Ryan and Andrea, in Maui,
Laughing. Kissing.
bragging about how I wouldn't fight back. Andrea even said, she's too broken to chase us. She'll give up. I glanced at her. She wasn't smiling now. Then came the forensic accounting records. $137,000 moved in 43 separate transactions.
Offshore.
Disguised. Ryan shifted in his seat. Meredith turned to the judge. And now, Your Honor, we'd like to present the real prenup. A hush fell. I pulled it out myself. Yellowed.
Signed.
Notarized. Tucked in my grandmother's Bible for 11 years. The judge scanned it. Then turned to Ryan's lawyer. This signature doesn't match the amended one your client submitted. Ryan's lawyer paled. I wasn't aware. No, the judge interrupted. She was. Andrea's face drained. Because I hadn't told anyone what came next. I'd like to call a witness, Meredith said. The doors opened, and in walked Ryan's ex-assistant, young,
Smart.
and furious. She'd reached out after my viral post. Apparently, she quit the job after Ryan fired her for knowing too much. She took the stand, sworn in. What did you witness while working for Mr. Myles? He used company time to siphon money. She looked straight at Andrea. And they were having an affair long before the Hawaii trip. She visited the office weekly under a fake consulting title. Ryan slammed his fist on the table. Lies. The judge banged the gavel. One more outburst, and you're in contempt. I didn't look away. Not once. Ryan's control was cracking. Andrea's mascara started to bleed. The courtroom could smell blood. The judge reviewed everything. The silence was like a held breath. Then came the ruling. The prenup stands. The forged version is inadmissible. All assets frozen. Immediate investigation into financial fraud. Full custody granted to Cassandra Myles pending psychological evaluation of Mr. Myles. Restraining orders approved. And then, the final blow. Ms. Andrea Myles, due to your involvement in financial misconduct and willful interference in a family case, you are being charged as a co-conspirator. Her scream echoed. You can't do this to me, she shrieked. I'm her sister. I stood up slowly.
No.
You were never my sister. You were my parasite. Outside the courtroom, the media swarmed. Questions flew. Cassandra, what are your next steps? Will you sue them for damages? Did you expect this outcome? I looked into the cameras and said one thing. Revenge wasn't the goal. But justice? That tastes sweeter than anything they ever stole. Later that night, I tucked Caleb and Ava into bed. For the first time in weeks, they slept easy. Safe. With me. I stood in the hallway, holding a wine glass in one hand and the old wedding photo in the other. I burned it slowly, watched the edges curl, then vanish. I wasn't grieving anymore. I was rebuilding. Smarter, sharper, stronger. 3 weeks after the courtroom showdown, I stood barefoot on the balcony of my friend's guest house, staring at the sunrise. The sky was a mess of pink and fire like me. Healing. Slowly. But still burning where they thought they'd buried me. Caleb and Ava were sleeping peacefully inside, wrapped in the warmth of a home no longer soaked in secrets. It should have felt like closure, but it didn't. Because justice wasn't the end of the story. It was just the surface. And beneath it, something else waited. Deeper, darker, uglier. The letter arrived that morning. No return address. Just my name. Typed. No stamp. Hand-delivered. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Typed, neat, and cold. They weren't working alone. Your mother helped. Your father knew. And someone else took money too. If you want the truth, go to storage unit 23B. And bring gloves. No signature. No threats. Just a breadcrumb trail soaked in gasoline. My stomach churned. Andrea was in legal hell. Ryan was about to face federal charges. But now, my own parents? Could betrayal be genetic? I drove to the unit alone. 23B sat near the back of the industrial park. Dusty. Forgotten. Padlocked. I showed the court-approved key. Ryan had a lease on it in his name, listed under a dummy LLC. The door groaned open. Inside? Chaos. Stacks of documents. Shoeboxes of receipts. A safe. And on the wall, photos. Dozens of them. Ryan. Andrea. My mother. Even my father. Standing beside each other at a dinner I never attended. Smiling. In one photo, Ryan handed my father a thick envelope. I found the gloves, snapped them on, and started sorting. At the bottom of a locked cabinet was the truth that would kill whatever faith I had left. A signed affidavit from a notary, witnessing my mother transferring my trust fund into Andrea's private investment account. 10 years ago. Before Ryan and I had kids. Long before Hawaii. This wasn't betrayal born of desperation. This was premeditated theft. And the kicker? A video. Grainy but clear. My father sitting across from Ryan, saying, "She doesn't need to know. She was never meant to inherit it anyway. Andrea's the strong one." Ryan replied, "Then she won't. Once this is done, she'll have nothing left to fight with." I dropped the tablet. I couldn't breathe. They'd been carving away my life for years, not just my husband. My bloodline. My foundation. No wonder my mother's will left me nothing. No wonder my father looked relieved when Ryan vanished. They had known. The next day, I walked into my father's house. He opened the door, sipping his coffee. "Cassandra," he said flatly. "Here to gloat." "No," I replied. "Here to ask why you sold your own daughter for a man who couldn't even hold a marriage together." He sighed, turned, and walked back to his chair. Didn't even deny it. "She was the better bet," he said calmly. "And you were always soft." "I was kind," I said. "There's a difference. And you mistook it for weakness." He looked me square in the eye. "That trust fund was wasted on someone like you." So I smiled. "Good. Because now I'm suing you for it." With the evidence from 23B, I launched a second wave of lawsuits. Civil, criminal, federal. I went public again, this time with documents. Not for attention, but because exposure is the one thing snakes can't survive. The story went viral again. Woman betrayed by husband and family uncovers decade-long financial conspiracy. People sent letters, support, even donations. But I didn't want money. I wanted answers. And justice. And for once, closure. That night, Caleb woke up crying. I had a dream Daddy came back and took me. I hugged him tight. He can't take you again, baby. Ever. But why did he leave? His voice cracked. How do you explain that some people love control more than family? That some people wear love like a mask, only to hide the monster beneath? You know how superheroes always have someone trying to hurt them? I whispered. Well, sometimes that villain is someone you trusted. But that doesn't make the superhero any less strong. He looked at me through wet lashes. Then you're a superhero, Mommy. I didn't cry. Not anymore. I was done wasting tears on the people who broke me.
Now?
I was building a new house. One made from truth, from grit, from ashes. And no one was going to burn it down again. The day of the final hearing, the sky cracked open like it knew what was coming. Thunder.
Rain.
Dark clouds churning over the courthouse like judgment itself. And for once, I welcomed it. Because this was the storm I had summoned. And I was ready to end this story. On my terms. I walked in wearing all black. Not mourning, but marking the death of every lie they'd ever told me. Ryan was already there, seated across the aisle. His once charming face was drawn tight. The tan from Hawaii faded to courtroom gray. Andrea wasn't beside him this time. She'd cut a deal, turned state witness to save herself. Cowardice in a cocktail dress. My father sat in the back. Alone. No sympathy. Just a shell of the man who once tucked me in at night with fake affection and stolen promises. This wasn't just a hearing. This was an execution of trust. Public, legal, permanent. The judge called the case. Cassandra Myles versus Ryan Myles, regarding financial fraud, conspiracy to defraud, malicious parental manipulation, and unlawful conversion of trust assets. It echoed like a drumbeat. Each word sharpened from months of war. Ryan's new lawyer tried to paint him as the victim. Your Honor, my client was emotionally neglected, manipulated into desperate decisions by Cassandra's late mother and her sister. They tried to blame my dead mother, as if her greed crawled from the grave to possess Ryan's bank transfers. Then Meredith stood, fire in her eyes. She wasn't a lawyer today. She was a blade. Your Honor, we submit the signed confession from Andrea Myles detailing the timeline of collusion, access to trust records, and the transfer of funds across multiple shell corporations, with Ryan Myles' signature on every transaction. Then came the final blow. We also submit testimony from the notary public stating Ryan attempted to bribe him to forge a second prenup. The courtroom didn't gasp. It froze. And Ryan? He finally looked scared. But that wasn't my last move. This was. Your Honor, I said, standing. I have one final exhibit. Not legal. Just human. I played a recording.
Caleb. My son.
His tiny voice on the baby monitor the night after Ryan left. Why did Daddy say Mommy lies? Mommy doesn't lie. Mommy holds me when I'm scared. The courtroom was silent. Even the judge looked away. Because no crime scene stings like a child's broken heart. The ruling came like thunder. Full parental rights terminated. Ryan ordered to pay restitution and serve time for financial crimes. Restraining order extended indefinitely. My father stripped of control over all remaining family trust assets. Andrea permanently barred from accessing any estate linked to my mother's name. My abusers were not just exposed. They were legally erased from every corner of my life. After the hearing, Ryan tried one last move. He called out from behind the security rail. Cass, I still loved you. I turned.
No.
You loved control. You loved winning. But I changed the game.
And now?
The last move is mine. I walked away. Not just from him, but from every version of me that ever begged for their love. 3 months later, I signed the deed to a new home.
Small. Cozy.
But mine. No ghosts in the walls. No secrets in the foundation. Caleb picked blue paint for his room. Ava drew a family portrait with just the 3 of us. And for once, it felt complete. I wasn't rebuilding my old life. I was building a new one. With honesty. With fire. With scars turned into strength. The woman I used to be? She died the moment I got that text. We're in Hawaii. Take care of the kids. but the woman I became. She's the one who buried every betrayal beneath a foundation of truth.